welcome to the SIFT Football Podcast, Save It for the Football Podcast. This one for the NFC and AFC South division preview. Going to talk about obviously those divisions and what we think about how they're going to do this year and give out a random fact. But before I do anything else, I'm going to welcome in the mayor. Mayor, how are you?
I am fantastic on this Saturday morning. The wife is recovering healthily, thankfully. Everything went well there. We won't go into too many details for the sifters, but she had a procedure taken care of, and everything's going to be good. Got a few days off. Thankful to her. She got me some time off of work. So it's August, and it's college football is almost here, which means it's almost time for the NFL. We're just a couple weeks away from kickoff. I'm getting pretty excited, and I guess we're ready to talk some NFC, AFC South.
Yeah, did you happen to catch any games or clips of games or anything from yesterday?
Yeah, I did not. I fell victim to the Olympics, and I was watching a lot of them. It's amazing how Snoop Dogg has become a national treasure when 30, 40 years ago he had a reputation that parents didn't want their kids to have anything to do with.
Yeah, it's just a testament to stick it through and eventually stick through it and eventually something will come around. Everyone will come around on you. I don't know how that works. I was going to give out this random fact. I don't know if we've talked about this one before that department stores where they want you to shop and be there longer play slower music and then the opposite is true in restaurants when they want you to just get it done and leave and get it done with your meal and get out of there. And you of course you and I have worked for the same company where you currently work now, and I think they play like a sort of middle of the road version, but it's definitely not slow music, but they don't play fast music either. There, you're at the place you work.
Yeah, it seems like they're getting better and changing it like week by week. There's a couple songs that come in, there's a couple songs that go out. A couple songs that's like, wow, I can't believe I'm hearing this on this radio station. And then it's a few like, I just want to pick up this potato and throw it at somebody. So there is some rager music in there, but not the type you're thinking about, the kind that just makes you want to just scream. But, here we are.
All right, let's get into the divisions. I'm going to start with the NFC South. I'm going to start with the team that disappointed people last year. Everybody expected them to win the division, but including us, both of us had them winning the division, but the New Orleans Saints. So just to start off with previewing this, the NFC South plays the NFC East and the AFC West. The Saints added Chase Young. I don't know if you have any comments on him. He played for your team a little bit last year, and they drafted Talise Fuaga, the tackle of the future, I guess. They signed Tyron Matthew. They re-signed Mario Davis. I don't know if the head coach Dennis Allen's on the hot seat or not. I don't know. I don't know if you have any thoughts on the Saints before we get into their.
Yeah, there's this team hasn't been right since that playoff game where the call did not go their way. I never get into the weeds about one call changes the outcome of a game, but that call definitely changed the outcome of the last few minutes of it. And this team hasn't been right since Sean Payton jumped off a burning ship. Drew Brees retired. There's been a tons of things. They thought Jameis Winston was going to be their savior. There's just a lot of things now. They've got Derek Carr slinging the football for them. So it's going to take a lot for this team to get going. The rookies, Spencer Rattler, he's looking to get things going, maybe make a strike here in the season. Maybe he is the quarterback of the future. This division is going to be up for the taking. I've got the Saints going 7-10.
Well, that is exactly what I had them going. They have just one, well, two, sorry, primetime games. They have a Thursday night game against Denver and a Monday Night Football game at Week 16 at Green Bay. Um, and I don't know. I don't have I don't have high hopes for them. I have them going 7-10 as well. Um, what do you think Vegas has them at?
Vegas probably has them. It's probably 8.5. You know, seven's just too low for a team like that.
Uh, and I agree with you that uh, seven's too low, but it's actually 7.5.
Wow. Okay. I'm not going to take that bet. I'll take the under. You know, going 7-10. But I guess Vegas kind of agrees with us.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the Atlanta Falcons. This is the team everybody expects to win this division. There's a lot of controversy about how they handled the quarterback situation. Head coach Raheem Morris getting another chance here, and they drafted Michael Penix, as I kind of alluded to. They signed Kirk Cousins. Rondale Moore just got injured; he's out for the season, so that's not good. But they have these first round guys that they drafted the last 4 years: Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson and Drake London, and now Michael Penix. So this is the time to prove that they can turn this around and be successful. I just want to quickly go over, they have a primetime game against Philly, primetime game against KC, back to back, Philly and Monday Night Football, and then KC Sunday Night Football in weeks 2 and 3. And then they have a game against Las Vegas, a Monday Night Football game later on in the season. So I think they're sort of testing the waters with this team to see if they're going to be good at the beginning and put them on some primetime games. And if they're no good, then they're not going to be flexing them into primetime or anything like that. Do you have any thoughts on the Atlanta Falcons this year?
You know, quick side note: do you think Vegas secretly wants to play every single Monday night game there is? Give them primetime highlights, get people to come out on a Saturday and stay till Tuesday and monopolize every single dollar they can. Teams want to travel, people want to visit their teams. Why not do it in Las Vegas? I can't believe the NFL didn't do this 30 years ago. They're only going to start reaping the benefits from Vegas playing in Vegas. But getting back to the Falcons, I agree with everything you said. I see Atlanta going 9-8, and I see that probably being enough to win this division. They've put all their work in. Like you said, they've drafted over the past few years. They've got a young talent pool that is just ready to go. They're going to need a little bit of help from Kirk Cousins. I think he can be stable enough for a few seasons to put together some W's and get a playoff appearance or two. So I want to see what this team can do.
I'm a little higher on on them than you are. 11-6. What do you think Vegas has them going?
I would say 9.5.
That's correct. 9.5. Nailed it. So they're more in line with you. I see them getting some wins maybe. I mean, the last 6 games of their season: Minnesota, Las Vegas, the Giants, Washington, and Carolina, and the Chargers. So I think they could win maybe 5 out of 6 there and really take this division by storm at the end. But we'll see. Anything else on the Falcons before we move on?
No, I think we're ready to move on. The NFC South division winners are waiting and ready.
We have the next team, Carolina Panthers. They have their outside games against Cincinnati, Chicago, and Arizona, and they have the Munich game against the Giants. So they have that Germany game in Week 10. I'm not sure how many people are going to be stoked to see Carolina and the Giants in Munich, but I guess they'll take what they can get as far as American football goes. They have a new head coach, of course. This is like their sixth head coach in the last 5 years. That's not a good sign. But Dave Canales, who was the OC for the Bucks, they lost to linebacker Brian Burns. They signed Deontay Johnson from the Steelers. They drafted wide receiver Xavier Legette. They re-signed J.C. Horn, the corner. But I don't see a lot of things that are going to improve their team. Obviously, Deontay Johnson will be an upgrade to their wide receiver core, and Xavier Legette hopefully will be, a player in the future that will be helpful to them. But I don't see them doing much better than last year. Um, What do you think about the Carolina Panthers?
So, week 10, you said they got a game in Munich. All I heard in that statement was there was 14 hours of live football on in week 10. That's going to be a 9 a.m. game. Guess I'm going to be missing church that
Right.
week. Oh,
Yeah.
get to watch them early. The fans of Germany, the fans in Munich, they have been, they've had this thing circled on their calendar since the schedule came out. They're excited. American football in Europe, it's becoming more and more global. The NFL knows exactly what they're doing. As for the Carolina Panthers, DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey have to have a smile on their face every time they walk into work and know they're not in that dumpster fire of Carolina. That team has just
Right.
made bad decision after bad decision. The new ownership group is trying to get it turned around. It's just not going as quickly as it's going to be. This is going to be a really bad season for the Carolina Panthers. I see 3-14 in their future. Steve Austin may need to pull them out of what funk they're going to be in.
Yeah, I think as long as that owner is meddling, that's the team is not going to get much better. I have them going 6-11 though. Some surprising wins maybe in there. Um,
What are
but
your surprising
yeah,
wins?
I think it's
Because
a.
I don't see much
wh-
at all.
So here's the thing. I've got them beating Atlanta in week 18, which may not matter for Atlanta. They may be resting people. That's
Okay,
a
I'll
way
give
they
you
can
that
get a
one.
sneaky win right there.
A sneaky win.
Um, yeah, I've got them beating Denver and New Orleans. I just don't, I don't think Denver and New Orleans are going to be that great this year, and I have them beating Washington and a
Okay.
couple other teams. So yeah. And what do you think Vegas thinks of them this year?
There's no way they're ever going to go like 3.5 that low. It just, they're not going to make any money off that bet. So I would say six and a
Right.
half. They're going to try to catch the fans and all the doubters to bet that under at 6.5. And like you said, they get, any NFL team can get to 7 wins pretty easily. I would say, especially catch a team in a bad week playing at home. I mean, there's a lot of factors. So I would say 6.5.
So it's 5.5, so it's close. Yeah, and you're right. They're not going to go so low as to say like they won 2 games last year, so the likelihood that they improve by a lot is pretty small. But they're also not going to give you a 3.5, like you said. All right. Last team in the NFC South is the Tampa Bay Bucks, and just as a reminder, they play the NFC East and the AFC West. So they've got a bunch of primetime games. I'm not really sure why. I guess because they won the division, but this is a very tough schedule for them. I don't know if you took a hard look at how hard the schedule is, but they have a Thursday night football game against Atlanta in Atlanta. They've got Baltimore on Monday Night Football. They've got Kansas City on Monday Night Football. Yeah, obviously, I think Todd Bowles is on the hot seat here. If they don't have a winning season, don't win the division again, he might be gone. I don't know. The major moves, I couldn't see a ton of major moves that they made. They have a brand new offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen. List of questions. They got Randy Gregory, who's going to help them a lot, a linebacker, edge rusher type. And they re-signed their left tackle Tristan Wirfs, which is good. But I didn't see any other major moves that they made. Yeah, so I have something to say about them, but I wanted to get your take on it first. What do you
Yeah.
think about the Bucks?
So, like you said, Todd Bowles on the hot seat already year 3. That's just the way this NFL coaching world works now. You better hope your GM puts you in a position to win and win now, because he's going to go before the head coach. But Baker Mayfield's still trying to hang on as a veteran now. I mean, for as much as he didn't start his career well in Cleveland, I think he's done well. I mean, I would say he's top 15 quarterback in the NFL. That's very good to be. That's a very good place to be. Solid starter. Like you said, this is a very tough schedule. Um, they have a very young run game, and with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, getting a little bit older, I think we're going to see a shift in this offense this year. Give Baker Mayfield a little bit of relief, but it's going to be a rough season for Bucks fans once again. 8-9. It looks like that's going to not allow them to get into the playoffs this time. and we are going to be celebrating the new division winner of the NFC South.
I just wanted to point out how difficult their schedule is. They have week 4 Philly, week 5 at
Loss,
Atlanta,
loss,
week 6 at New Orleans.
loss.
That's a tough place to play at New Orleans, especially for these division uh, foes. And then they have week 7 Baltimore. They have to play Atlanta again,
Yeah,
and then they get
I think they'll get
KC and
Atlanta
San
at least
Francisco
once, of
back to back.
course. I see them beating Dallas. I see that being a big win for them this season. But you named a whole lot of teams that are probably going to get after it when it's time to do business.
Yeah, they play both of the Super Bowl teams, so that's never good
And I'm still
when
looking
you
for
have to play
tickets for
both of
that
those teams,
Tampa
especially.
Bay San Francisco game here in Tampa Bay. I'd love to do a live game day footage for the SIFT podcast at live from Raymond James Stadium. If anyone out there wants to throw some tickets, I'm sure the professor would meet me in Tampa that day if he could arrange it as well.
Absolutely, we would do that. We'll do a live pod right there in the stadium. All right, let's move on to the AFC South. Jacksonville, the AFC South plays the AFC East and the NFC North. Um, you know, I think Doug Peterson's actually on the hot seat too. There might be like 15 coaches on the hot seat this year. Um, they signed Mac Jones, um, but maybe more importantly, so they drafted Brian Thomas Jr. to replace Calvin Ridley. They've signed Gabe Davis from the Bills. I didn't see a ton of other moves. They were doing pretty well. They had an injury, Trevor Lawrence, and then they kind of fell off at the very end there. I think they lost like 5 of their last 6 or the last 5 games and missed the playoffs. Um, they have a couple of London games again this year. They're playing in week 6 and week 7, Chicago and New England in London. They have a Monday Night Football game against Buffalo in week 3. They play Philly in week 9 on Sunday Night Football. Um, so, what do you think about Jacksonville this year?
The Werewolves of London once again. This team's one
Hmm.
step away from playing in London 8 games a year. I think the NFL really wants that. The players obviously don't. That's a lot of travel, a lot of logistics that got to happen for something like that. Uh, you mentioned a whole lot of players, and I think this team revolves around Trevor Lawrence. I think this is going to be his year to either prove that he deserves to be a starting quarterback in the NFL or not. Um, Again, Doug, like you said, Doug Peterson's definitely on the hot seat. You got to win a division. You've got a few years to at least make ground. Not looking good for Jacksonville. I see 7-10.
All right, that's exactly what I have them 7-10. Um, and I think they just signed a deal to build a new stadium in Jacksonville. So I think it might be Carolina as the team that eventually moves over to London, but who knows?
Yeah, I'd be
I
okay with
had them
that.
going 7-10. I mean, obviously the NFL was leaning into this team as the London team, but you know, if they're building a new stadium in Jacksonville, I'm guessing that's not the plan anymore. I don't know, but we'll see. What do you think Vegas has them doing this year?
We're probably right on par with Vegas. I would say 7.5.
Vegas is a little more bullish. They've got them going 8.5.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, they could have won the division last year. I mean, everybody could have won the division if they just played a little bit better. But I think if Trevor Lawrence doesn't get that injury, I think that was like week 13 or 14, something like that. That may have changed their fate last year. Let's move on to the Indianapolis Colts. Speaking of injured quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson is back and healthy, should be starting this season. Do you know who the backup in Indianapolis is?
Is that a trivia question, or do you want me to look it up?
No, I know the answer, but I just was curious because it blew me away.
I guess I don't.
It So you couldn't get farther from Anthony Richardson's style. Their backup is Joe Flacco.
Oh, that's right, because he came in and had one good game, and they decided to sign him to a contract, and that is the history of Joe Flacco: one or two good games a season, and that's all that takes for you to go from non-Super Bowl winning quarterback to Super Bowl winning quarterback. Don't let me knock him too
Yeah,
much. He, just like Nick Foles, who just retired, is a Super Bowl champion
right.
for a team that doesn't even care for him anymore.
Yeah. They only have one primetime game. They got the Jets at the Jets week 11 Sunday Night Football. Um, I mean, I don't know. They had a good season last year. They were like one play away from actually winning the division. Um, and if Anthony Richardson is healthy, I think this could be a dangerous team. I've got them going 9-8. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I think with this running game and Anthony Richardson, I think they're going to need to find the right coach quarterback combo for that. Um, they've got a few good players still on the roster. Jonathan Taylor is just that workhorse. I think he's going to work right alongside Anthony Richardson. 9-8 is a pretty good prediction. In fact, that's what I came up with, and I think that's going to be good enough to win this division. I think much like the NFC South, this is going to be a black and blue type beat everybody up, and everyone's going to end up almost 500 by the end of the season, but the Indianapolis Colts will be representing them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I've got them 9-8. Also, what do you think Vegas has them at?
I would say 9.5. I think they're probably going to be a little higher on the Colts than we are, but just by a tick.
8.5. So they're right there. All right, let's move on to the Tennessee Titans. The Titans have just one game in prime time. That would be at Miami in week 4, Monday Night Football. Um, I'm not big on Tennessee. They have a brand new head coach in Brian Callahan. They lost Derrick Henry to Baltimore. They signed Quandre Diggs, which should help. They're going to have a pretty good defense still. Um, they lost obviously Calvin Ridley. Or sorry, they signed Calvin Ridley. Um, and that should be a good for them, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Uh, Sophomore season for Will Levis. They signed Tony Pollard to replace Derrick Henry, so that's probably not going to be positive for them. But I don't see a good season out of this team. What do you think they're going to do this year?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at their roster, if you're going by name recognition, it looks like you'd have a good fantasy football team 3 years ago. This team is trying to sign veterans to replace holes that they're not able to draft on through the NFL draft. It's good. Will Levis is going to have to pull out a couple miracles in order for this team to do anything this season. They don't have a very easy schedule. They've got a few big teams on their schedule that's not going to make it easy for them. I think they're not even going to be that successful in their division. I see 6-11 for the Tennessee Titans.
All right, I'm lower than you are. I've got them going 3-14. I think
Wow.
this could be a
Okay.
disastrous season for them.
Yeah, that's not good news for
Um,
Tennessee fans.
what do you think Vegas has them doing this year?
Oh wow, Vegas probably 5.5. I think they're going to be low on Tennessee as well.
Yeah, they're pretty low. They're 6.5 though, and
Okay.
5.5 I think is probably the very bottom of where Vegas will go. So um, they're just a little above that. All right, the last team that we have here, the AFC South, is Houston. Houston's outside games are Dallas at Dallas, and they have Miami and Baltimore. That's tough. Those are three tough teams to have on your schedule. in outside your division. They have a bunch of primetime games. They've got Chicago in week 2 and Sunday Night Football. They've got the Jets in week 9 on Thursday Night Football. They've got Detroit Sunday Night Football in week 10, and then Monday Night Football game at Dallas. Um, they had all the first year hype coming in this season. They had the playoff win last year, obviously, against the Browns. You got, D'Amico Ryan coming off a good first season. CJ Stroud coming off a great, especially second half of that season. They signed Stephon Diggs. They signed Joe Mixon to be their running back. Tank Dell returns from injury. So I think this could be a very good team. Spoiler alert, I've got them winning the division. What do you think they're going to do this year?
Wow, you that is a spoiler alert. I already gave my spoiler alert away. This team is not winning the division. Um, I think this team is going to be good. They just need one more season, get a couple more players to plug a couple more holes. That week 2 matchup is going to, the NFL is hoping that's going to be a great one. First round pick versus first round pick, 2 years apart. Um, I do like where this team is going. I just don't think they are there yet. I see 8 and 9, and that won't allow them to win the division or probably get them into playoffs at this point. But they're going to be on the outside looking in the last week. And I see Indy, like I said, I see Indy kind of taking that by 1 game. So those 2 games will probably be crucial for both those teams.
Yeah, so Vegas is a little closer to you on Houston. What do you think the Vegas line is for Houston's wins this year?
Well, if you said it was closer to me, I'd have to go 8.5.
Yeah, it's 9.5. So I think Houston's gonna they think they're expected to contend for this division. Obviously, some people are higher on them, like I am, but it's gonna be a battle between them and Indianapolis, I think, this year. All right, so I've got Houston winning the AFC South, and you've got Indianapolis winning the AFC South. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And then in the NFC, I've got Atlanta winning the NFC South.
Yeah, and I let me yeah, I have Atlanta winning the AFC or NFC South as well.
All right, do you think there's any wild card teams coming out of these divisions?
No, because the best record I got coming out of both these divisions is 9 and 8, and I haven't really forecasted forward yet. But I got a feeling teams, with last week and this and next week, the NFC AFC West is going to have a couple people in there, and same with the AFC and NFC North.
True. And so that's what we're gonna do next week is the North divisions. So Sifters, I want you to prepare for that. Do we have anything else before we go?
No, I think we're going good, and I will getting through some technical difficulties through this video feed. Hopefully, people are checking us out. If any sponsors want to drop in and give us a shout, we'll give you a plug wherever you want to, even if it's over one of our shoulders with things like that are over my shoulder right now. We can absolutely do that. Just let us know. Hit us up. You know where to find us.
Yes, and where to find us is we are at Anything NFL, powered by the SIFT podcast, or just search for SIFT podcast on Facebook. That's where you'll find our content and our podcasts. And I guess that's it for the mayor and myself. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you about the AFC and NFC North next week. Bye.